Hey guys, welcome back, and we are moving right along in this video series. In the previous video, we set up our respawning of our vehicle if we flip it over. We also set up the tracking of laps and displayed that through debug code in the upper left-hand corner of our screen. In this video, what we're going to do is set up the race and lap timers, as well as convert those values into a readable text format, similar to a timer of sorts. So that's what we're going to do in this video. Let's go ahead and continue. We're going to go down to the blueprints folder the content browser under the blueprints folder. Let's go ahead and open up our player controller blueprint. So let's go ahead and double click, open it up. And making sure that we are on the event graph. So again, go ahead and just double click on it in my blueprint panel. We are going to start with our, start over here with our start race timer, stop race timer, start lap timer, and stop lap timer functions here. So these four functions. Custom events. These four custom events are what we're going to be working with right now. So first of all, what we're going to do, we'll start out with the start race time section first. Let's right click on the graph in an empty space and let's add a timeline. So we're going to go down to the bottom here and add a timeline. Let's go ahead and select that. And we're going to call this timeline game time. Now, this timeline can be used when we start it, to keep track of time for us, essentially. And it can spit out any kind of, certain kinds of variables and values that we can then use in our script. So if we double click on this now, actually, give us the timeline editor. And across the top here, we have a couple options that we can use to keep track of. All we're going to use is a float track. So it's going to spit out a float value, which we're going to use to drive our time. So go ahead and click the add float track. It's going to ask us for a name for the track. Let's just call it time. So here, like so. And inside of the actual curve here, we can add some keyframes that we can use to keep track of our time. So we're going to hold down Shift on our keyboard and left click to create the first keyframe. And we're going to hold down Shift again and left click to create the second keyframe. For the first keyframe, go ahead and select it. And then up at the top, we can specify what the value should be there. So for this first keyframe, we're going to set time to 0. We're also going to set the value to 0. So when time is 0, value should be 0. For this one, we're going to set this to something pretty high. You probably want to cap out how far your timer will go. For us, we'll just set this to something like 999 and the value 999, something like that. Now our keyframe kind of disappeared off screen. We can go ahead and click these two icons here to kind of get it back in track. So you're seeing the progression of time right here. We're also going to check this little checkbox here that says use last keyframe. So with all of that, that's all we need to do for our timeline. We can actually close it out now. And if we hop back to the graph, we have a new float value that's been added. This is what we're going to use to keep track of our time. So over in the My Blueprint panel, let's actually find under the value variables, let's find our actual race time. That's what we want. So let's hold Alt and left click and drag that into the graph. And what we're going to do is take our update and plug that into the set like so, and take our time and plug that in as our actual race time. Now for these two custom events here on the side, what we're going to do is take the start race time, plug that into the play, and then take the stop race time and plug that into the stop. So we can stop and start our timer through these two custom events, and it's being populated to our actual race time. Next thing we'll do, we'll take the game time here, we'll copy it, we'll hit Control-C and Control-V to paste it. So we get that same setup. And all we're going to do is hit F2 on this now and rename this to lap time. This is keeping track of our lap time. And for this one, with our custom events here, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to say play from start instead of just play. And then we're also going to call stop lap time for stop here. Now the reason we're doing play from start here is when we cross our lap, we're going to want to restart this and not just resume from wherever it was stopped at. So we're going to play it from the beginning whenever we restart our lap timer. So each time we complete a lap, we're going to restart this. So over in the details panel, or my blueprint panel. So used to calling it the details panel. Let's take our actual lap time, just left click and drag and drop that on top of time, which we can do as well. Let's plug in our update like so. And for the most part, we are done. And there's two more things that we need to do. And we're going to have to actually jump out of this blueprint momentarily. Before we do that, let's hop over to our text variables. So we have text variables here. And we're going to take our race time text. So I'm going to hold Alt and left click and drag it into the graph. Now we don't necessarily want to plug this directly in like so, because this is keeping track in a float. It's keeping track of our value as a float. And we're going to want to convert that to something that's more readable for the end user. And we're going to use a macro to convert our float into a timer style format. So when we get to 120.75 seconds, we're going to convert that into our, quick math in my head, we're going to convert that into our 00:00.00 format. That's what we're going to do. So to do that, we're going to hop back to the level editor here. We're going to go into our time conversion macro. So we haven't touched this yet, so we're going to do this now. So double click, open it up. And in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, we're going to add a new macro. So go ahead and click the Add button, and then Macro. It's going to give us a new macro. And this macro, we're going to call it Time to Text. So it's going to convert time to text for us. That's all this macro is going to do. Now we're going to need some inputs and some outputs. The first input we're going to need is going to be a float. So make sure that it is selected. Go down to the Details panel, the input, make sure that it is a float. And this is just going to be the time. And the output, let's click the output here. This is going to be a text value. So that's what we want to convert it to. And we're just going to call this time as text. Something like that. Okay, I'm going to move this over just a little bit. Move this over just a little bit. And first thing that we're going to do, we're going to drag off of our time here. And we're going to hit a slash sign like so. And we want to do a float divided by float. So float divided by float. And we want to divide whatever our time is by 60. So this is going to give us minutes. So we're going to work on minutes first. So let's drag off of this now. And we want to use a floor node. So go ahead and select floor. And it will round it to the previous integer. So go ahead and select floor. Now, now that we've got that value, there's a couple things that we want to do. So in the event that we have under 10 minutes, if we had a super long race and we had 10 minutes, we would probably want to display, and again, this is more of a preference, but it's up to you. You would probably want to display a 0 before your integer. You probably want it to read as 09 instead of just 9. So we need to run a check to see what the value of this is. So we're going to drag off of this, and we're going to say, is this greater? So I'm going to do a greater than symbol, integer greater than integer. Is this greater than 9? Like so. And so far, we've been using branch nodes. We've been creating a branch and adding a condition and checking. We're going to use a different type of node here. We're going to drag off of this pin now, the condition. And instead of a branch, we're going to search for select. So we're going to use a select node. So go ahead and choose select. And you see it still gives us false and true, but it gives us inputs. And what we can do is select different pins based on this condition. So it will output a value automatically for us depending on what the condition is. So if this value is greater than 9, all we're going to do is plug that directly into the true. Well, actually, before we do that, I'm going to hold Alt and kill that. What we want to do is convert that to a string first. So let's do that before we do anything. So let's toString is what we want to use here. I don't know if it's going to let me do it now. I may need to let's see. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Let's kill that select. Got ahead of myself there. So let's re-add our select node. So we have a fresh select node. This is what we want to do, like so. So if it is greater than 9, we're going to select the true, which will give us 10, 11, 12, etc. However, if it is less than 9, what we're going to do is let's drag off of this false in the opposite direction here. And we're going to use what's called an append node. So append is what we want. And what that's going to allow us to do is add something to the string and combine them into something else. So we can say for the A here, we're going to enter a 0. And for the B, we're going to take our return value, plug that in like so. So let me just move these over a little bit, kind of stretch this out. So if it is less than 9, it's going to add 0 to that integer in front of it, and that's going to be the string that we use. So our minutes are actually set up. That's all we need to do for minutes. So I'm going to select all these, hit C to create a comment, and say minutes. This is for getting the minutes. For getting the seconds, we're going to do something almost identical to this. So we're going to select all of these like so. I'm going to hit Control-C and Control-V to paste them all. All we're going to do is change this first node now. We're going to use a percentage instead of dividing. That will give us seconds. So we're going to drag off of this, and we're going to say percent, like so. And percent, we're going to hit 60, like so. And plug that into the floor. And that's all we need to do for our seconds, actually. Everything else is still going to be the same. We're still going to want to add a 0 before the integer if it's less than 10. So let's go ahead and add a comment around all of these. Hit C and say seconds. Last little bit we need to do is for our milliseconds. And to do this, it's going to be a little bit different. First thing we'll do, we'll drag off of our time here. And we're going to floor it first of all. So we're going to floor this. We're then going to drag off of our time again, actually. So we're going to drag off it again. And we're going to hit a minus sign. So we're going to do float minus float here, like so. We're going to take the return value and plug that in so that converts it, like so. The return value of that to get the two integers that we want, or I guess you shouldn't say integers, but the two values that we want to display for our milliseconds. Let's actually drag off of this. We're going to hit a asterisk sign, so float by float is what we want. And we're going to multiply that by 100. Once we get that, we're going to floor that. And that will give us the 2, so like the 0.25. That's what we want to display. So I'm going to floor that. In the event that this value is, let me move this over, less than 9, we're going to want to run this portion of script as well. So I'm actually just going to select all of these, hit Control-C and Control-V to paste them, and plug all of those in as we've done before. So that will give us milliseconds. So let's select all of these. Let's move them down just a little bit. Hit C and say milliseconds. If I can spell, that's terrible. A little bit better. So we have minutes, seconds, and milliseconds, but now we need to actually build this string out of these return values here. So we have a return value there, there, and there. We actually need to build that into a string now. So what we're going to do for this, we're going to take one of our append nodes here. I'm just going to copy it and paste it somewhere up here. And our first value is going to be fine. We could take our return value off the minutes here, take our return value, plug that directly into our A. But for the B, what we're going to do is just add a colon. So it reads as the first value, colon, and then we're going to add the rest of our strings here. So I'm going to take our append, hit Control-C, Control-V. The output is going to get plugged into this append, like so. The next value is going to be our return value, so we're going to plug that into the B, like so. We're then going to add a colon after our second value, so let's create a copy of our append, Control-V, plug that into the A, add a colon here. Actually, you know what? Not a colon. We're going to use a dot, so it reads as point something. So let's make this a point instead of a dot colon. And once we have that, we can take off this append. So let's do one more append. Control-C, Control-V, plug it in. And now we can take our return value and plug that into the B, like so. So it's a little bit wonky, a little bit kind of all over the place, but we've essentially built out a string to display it in a timer style format. So let's actually add a comment just around this section here. I'm going to hit C. And we're going to say this is building the string. Like so. Last thing we need to do is take the return value off that last append here in this section and plug that into our output, like so. We'll add one little comment around these. So we hit C and say converts to our text format. So our macro is set up. There it is. Again, if you need to see it. So here is the minutes. Here is the seconds. Here is the milliseconds. Once we have all of those, we're building our string here with these append nodes. We're then converting that to our text format. With all of that, if we save and close this macro, and we go back to our My Player controller, so down in our blueprints and our My Player controller, go ahead and open that back up. What we can do now, if we compile, and we right-click on our graph, and we search for time to text. There is our time to text macro. We can select that. You can see it's asking for an input of the float type. We can just plug these in now. Let's plug in our output into our time. It's going to run through that macro, do all kinds of magic behind the scene, spit out a time as text, which we can then assign to our text display here. So let's connect the set in like so. And the last thing that we need to do as part of this script here, this race timer script here, is call our update goals function. And the goals are keeping track of, again, our gold, silver, and bronze times. If a gold time was set to 60 seconds and the player is at 120 seconds or 2 minutes, we'd probably want to update our goals and remove the ability to achieve the gold time. So that's what we're going to do with this function here. So let's left click and drag that into the graph. Hook it up. And the last thing that we'll do as a bit of testing, we're going to right click under update goals and search for print text. Print text. Going to connect it up like so. Going to take the return value of our text here, plug it in like so, just so we can see that debug, testing. And that's it. For our purposes, we are currently not displaying the lap time on screen. We're only displaying it when they've achieved a new lap record. However, if you want to take this a step further, once you complete this video series and want to display the lap time on screen, you can feel free to run this process here and connect it like so. But for our purposes, we are not going to be doing that. We're only going to display the overall time. So with all of that, let's add a comment around all of these. Let's hit C. And say this is the race/lap timers. And let's see. What do I want to say for a comment here? I guess I should think it out first. Race and lap timers used to keep track of lap and race time and converts it to text. That's good enough. So we are about 18 minutes in. We have a couple more things we need to do before we can test this. We need to actually go to our event begin play sequence here. And for right now, off event begin play, we're going to start our race timer just so we can see if it's working. So let's go ahead and off the end of our event begin play here, we're going to drag off of this node here, or we're going to call start race time. And what that will do is start our timer, and our text should get updated and run through this conversion process and spit into our variable here, which we're printing to the screen. So let's actually compile and save, and let's actually test this out. So I'm going to go back to the level here, turn down my sound a little bit, and let's play in the editor. We should see it in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. So when we play, there is our text converted into that timer style format, getting spit out on screen for us. So our timer is set up. We're actually going to pause here. We're going to pick it back up in this video, or in the next video, I should say, continuing with our race and lap timers. We're going to run our lap time check and our race time check functions to see if the player has beaten the best race time or beaten the best lap time. We're going to do that in the next video. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you then.